Alice McCrindle, and today I have with me 4 of our current master's students who will be here to talk about their experience of studying this year at Strathclyde Business School. So the first half of our discussion is going to be looking at the student and programme experience at Strathclyde, and the second half, after a short video break, we'll be looking at in more detail in life in Glasgow, life at Strathclyde in our campus, and also life in Scotland. So with me, first up, we have Daniel Austin, who's studying our MSc in International Marketing. Welcome, Daniel. And Michael Dorey, who is studying our MSc Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Technology. So Daniel, if I could start with you, we get a lot of applicants to MSc International Marketing, and particularly we get asked a lot about Marketing Works part. Perhaps you could start by telling us a bit about the MSc International Marketing and also about the Marketing Works experience.
Yeah, sure. For the MSc in International Marketing, it's very much a balance between theoretical and practical learning.
Yeah.
So there's a good focus on much of the kind of up-to-date marketing concepts, ideas and strategies that are discussed within the class in a theoretical sense. Yeah. But in some of the practical areas, such as Marketing Works, as you were saying, it gives you an opportunity to take what you've learned in class and apply it in real life situations. Within Marketing Works, it's a marketing-based consultancy project where you work with clients work with real-world clients working on real-world issues and problems that they're facing. It's a group project, so for my project we were actually consulting the business school. The business school are looking to kind of build awareness in China and expand their brand over there. So essentially what we were tasked with doing was creating a marketing strategy, but more specifically a video marketing strategy. So we consult with members within the university to kind of get ideas about what they want and how we can move forward with this. As I say, you carry it from the beginning of the project straight to the end, and you take a lot of responsibility, and it's a really good way of, as I was saying before, like applying a lot of what you're learning in class in a real world context within a group as well. So you're getting a lot of experience working within groups as well.
So how long does it take, the Marketing Works part of the programme?
Overall, I think it was probably around about 3 months. So
it's quite a significant part of the programme.
Yeah. It's one of the bigger projects that you work on with your dissertation. Yeah. But yeah, as I say, it's a really good project. One of the main things I took from it was kind of more client-facing skills, working with people within the group as well. As I say, the groups are very diverse, so you get to learn different people's ways of working and understanding different perspectives on marketing and how in marketing strategies it's very different across the world. Yeah. So that was a great learning experience for me as well, to learn how marketing evolves and is different from what I know in this country. Okay. But yeah, it was really good.
Well, thank you. And Michael, what about on Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Technology? Because that's quite a new programme at Strathclyde. How did you find that in terms of your experience?
So I really liked it. I think it was quite a practical program, and that was what I was looking for Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Technology program. So I think the course put a lot of emphasis in new skills that are required in the working world today. So we had classes in data analytics, in design, in sales, a lot of emphasis in creativity and innovation. Sure. So this part, like the kind of courses that we had, was really interesting for a future entrepreneur to get a wide diversity of different skills that are again quite trendy at the moment. I really loved the part and the fact that we were quite a lot exposed with professionals inside the class and also outside. So for instance, in Design Lab, we were working with the CEO of Snook, which is a design company. I've also been working with the CEO of an education technology company in France. Basically I've met many different kind of professionals, and almost every classes had this kind of interactions, which was very, very, very interesting, I would say.
So you see quite a few people within your programme are entrepreneurs and who are looking to maybe work through a business idea while they're here, or are they just perhaps looking to take over a family business, or is it a real mix in terms of the people who make up the programme?
Yeah, absolutely. Personally, myself, I know I want to create my own company. That's why I took this class, and since the beginning of my higher education studies, this is what I wanted to do. Not straight after the program, but I want to create my own business. Inside the course, you also have real entrepreneurs who are going to start building their own project. You have e-commerce project, you have food and beverage project, you have education project that will start, and also family business that will be working on later on. So it's quite diverse, but I would say taking this class, you can take the direction of being an entrepreneur right after. You can become an entrepreneur later on, and you can also become an intrapreneur, which means you can start running projects internally within businesses. Absolutely.
Okay. Obviously, through the course this morning, we've had some live feed questions coming in, and some coming in just now, which I'll have a look at somehow when we're talking. We had one from Cheryl via our live feed, which is quite an interesting one about the intensity of study. We get a lot of students, applicants thinking of studying here, and they want to know, is it all work, or do they have time to get a bit of a balance and have a social life as well while they're here? What's your views on that?
I mean, I would say it can be, it is intense, it definitely is an intense course. It can be challenging at times, but it's how you manage it. It's how you manage it. If you take your time, manage it. There's always going to be time to kind of explore the experiential and social side of university. There's lots going on around the university. It's a very social university, and the city of Glasgow. But as I say, it can be intense. I found it myself when applying for jobs and trying to balance jobs and university work. It can be a little difficult at times, but if you manage and plan, then you can find time to do the things that you like to do outside of university as well.
What do you think, Michael, in terms of intensity?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's quite intense. But that's also what we expect coming here, is to have something that we know we're going to have some materials and we're going to have a lot of outcomes out of it. So it requires organization, but as Daniel said, there is a lot of activities outside your course that you can do inside the Strathclyde University. Sports activities, societies, initiatives. Personally, I'm also the president at Strathclyde Business Network, so we organize conferences, workshops, networking events, and so that takes a bit of my time as well. So despite the fact that the courses are quite intense and you have a lot of reports to write or people to meet, if you are well organized, you can also have a social life, initiatives or working on societies and doing some sports as well.
Okay, picking up on the Strathclyde Business Network, because both of you are involved in this, it's very pertinent subject, and because we have a lot of our students are involved, it's becoming increasingly more popular. Could you tell the audience a bit more about the Strathclyde Business Network and your involvement with it?
So I'm the head of marketing communications at the network. So essentially what the role was is just kind of trying to build awareness around the workshops, the networking events that Michael was talking about. But currently we are planning for the Glasgow Business Summit.
Yeah.
So we're putting a lot of time into that. I'll let you talk a little more about that actually. But as I say, my role is primarily marketing communications, trying to kind of build the Strathclyde Business Network brand, both inside the university but out with as well, to try and extend the reach of what we're doing with it.
The idea is really to create practicality in the curriculum of the students, is to bring them closer to the industry, closer to professionals and to policymakers. So we've done in less than 10 months more than 10 events with 15 companies and involving 600 students and professionals. It was quite diverse. We had talks about politics, on Brexit or Trump elections, for instance. We had talk about technology. We had talk on design, on finance. So it's pretty diverse. It's great for us because we get to meet all these professionals and business experts. For the students, it gives again like this sense of practicality in their studies. And now we are indeed working in this bigger event, which is a one-day event, the Glasgow Business Summit, the first ever student-led business conference in Scotland.
Yeah.
And that requires a lot of work. Last year we had 200 people.
It was very well attended.
Yeah, 200 people attending. We had banks, consulting companies, startups, members of the government.
Yeah.
So again, it's quite.
It's a great networking
vibrant.
opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing in really working in terms of the programme is the philosophy we have is to ensure when you're on the programmes you work in groups, because that really reflects what's going to happen in the workplace. You will be working largely in your work life in teams. You don't work in isolation. So how do you, the programmes you're on have a very diverse audience in terms of nationalities and cultures. How does that work for you? How did you find that? I mean, I'm sure it comes with its challenges and there's some nice sides of it, but how did you find the group work? If I can maybe start with you, Michael, this time.
Yeah. First, I think it's such a great dimension to have such a massive diversity within the course. You have people literally coming from everywhere. So it can get you can be a bit stressed about it because again people have their own cultural background, as you said, and approach. But I felt that people were all the people. I don't know if it's a recruitment process, but everyone were quite welcoming and quite comprehensive. Everybody listened to each other. So again, the idea is to gather together in group, make sure that you really listen to each other, be organized in your planning, and you would realize that actually something that you might think would be a bit scary or stressful is actually a great source of wealth for the outcome of your work, because everyone has a perspective. And for instance, for my course, Entrepreneurship, Innovation, Technology, it's always great to have ideas and perspective from people who have massive different backgrounds. And it's the differences in background are in terms of culture, but also in terms of academic background. You have people from business, from different university topics and engineering. So,
Great. And what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with everything that you say. I would just pick up on what you mentioned about the challenges. Like, it can be challenging as you are working with people from very diverse backgrounds, but I think that within this challenge is how you learn, you develop through overcoming these challenges. And it really helps your interpersonal relationship skills, really getting to understand how people work and how they think. Collectively, if you kind of galvanise this together, you can essentially, everyone learns and everyone benefits from each other. So as I say, as Michael was saying, as I agree, it can be challenging at times, but the learning opportunities that you gain from that are directly translated into the work environment, because it's, as you say, it's something that you are going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. So it's something it's one of those kind of soft skills that is essential that you learn from here and take into the workplace.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Okay, we've had some feed questions. I've got Rohit, Divya and Aditya have all been asking questions about careers, and just before we come on air we had Costas asking about our career service. And have a quick look at the firing in. We'll touch the careers questions, we'll go back to some of those because as a career choice for international marketing here as a female doing international marketing, but I think there are a lot of females doing international marketing. But just on your own sort of experience of the career side of thing and the services that are on offer here at Strathclyde, what are your own plans, or how have you? Obviously, you're getting to the final stage of your programmes, you're on the sort of project side of it. What are your own plans in terms of careers? And
for me, just to say about the career service were amazing.
Okay.
Like, it's very scary going through the job application process, but having them as a support network to really essentially take your hand and guide you through each thing. The interview process, the group activities that are expected within graduate application, graduate job applications, they offer so much advice and they were great. For me, I actually was offered a role on the Accenture consultancy graduate programme.
Brilliant.
So I'm really excited about that, and to be honest, I would attribute that quite a lot to the career service. at the beginning of the year, because it can be quite, there's a lot of competition for these kinds of jobs, and so you really do need to stand out, and I think the career service helped me do that. I'm really excited to be starting a job. I'm not starting until March next year.
Yeah. And I think you find that when we have the recruiters here, they're interested, because we get a lot of questions about students who want to stay on and work in the UK, and there are opportunities there, but not forgetting that a lot of these larger multinational companies are looking to recruit students to go back into their own countries, or live abroad and work abroad. So it's more, I would say now, international opportunities that are open, just as much as opportunities to study in Europe as well. And what about yourself, Michael?
No, I would agree with what Dan said. I was really satisfied with the career service. There's also a lot of resources available online and offline, a lot of books of potential recruiters. On the website, again, you have many advices on how to do your CV properly, on how to do a cover letter, on how to run an interview. Regularly you have CV checkup, so you can meet with a career advisor and you can actually check your CV, which is what I've done, which was very helpful. Same for a cover letter. Really recently, the career service organized a career fair. I had 2 mock interviews with EY and FDM consulting. Again, extremely interesting. And finally, what we're doing also at Strathclyde Business Network, there is all this dimension which is networking. So pretty much every time when we organize,
kind of showcasing.
Like companies are usually interested to look for talent. And we always have a specific time after our conference where people and student and professionals can talk together. So it's quite a good opportunity also to find a potential recruiter after. I know it's very stressful, but the resources are here, so you just need to look for them and
use them.
Can use them.
Thank you. Okay, final question you'll be glad to hear for the first half. What are your top tips for getting the most out of your year here and getting the most out of your degree, if you have any?
I would say, as we kind of touched on before, to kind of get the most out of it, it's very, very important to plan and manage the workload. I think that's probably the number one tip, because as we did touch on it before, it can become quite intense, the workload. So my tip number one would be to make sure that you plan ahead, make sure you're ready for your assignments as early as possible. Also, another tip I would say that's really important is if you are looking at jobs, I think that it's really important to get your job applications in early before the workloads start to become really, really a lot to handle, because it can be quite stressful trying to find that balance. And yeah, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it if you come along. Like, there's lots of social things going on. Glasgow's a great city. It's easy to travel all over Scotland from Glasgow. There's lots going on. Edinburgh is beautiful as well. Okay. And you have the whole of Europe just one flight away.
Okay. And Michael, your top tip?
My top tip, I would say definitely organization, planification early on, especially for the career side, is quite important. I would say it's very important for your career and for your personal and professional life to network, meet people, basically look for all the potential resources, societies, conferences, network sessions that are organized all around the university in Glasgow, but also in Edinburgh, which is just 1 hour by train or bus from here. So it's quite easy to basically meet people. Before coming here, I was in Singapore and Hong Kong, and I was a bit skeptic to go to Glasgow, but in the end, I just realized that you have pretty much a very diverse life with many different kind of professionals and students that are here as well. So it's just what you do here. You should take initiatives and trying to take advantage of this great ecosystem that the opportunity that the university has to offer. And finally, I would say do things with passion. Make sure you know yourself, and if this is really what you want to do, you will go for it and you will love it.
Okay.
And have fun, very important.
Well, thanks so much, Michael and Dan, for giving up your time today. I know you're very busy. Okay, we're going to take a short break now for just over 2 minutes and show a quick video break. We'll be back on air in 2 minutes' time with 2 more of our current students, so please feel free to join us in a short time. Okay, goodbye.
At the University of Strathclyde, we believe education can change the world. Our research and innovative work with industry have local and global impact, and we are accelerating our progress as a leading international technological university. We're investing in global talent and transforming our campus with £600 million of developments within a decade. Our new Centre for Teaching and Learning will enhance our students' experience, while our Strathclyde Sports Facility will support the sports stars of tomorrow and promote health and well-being for all. We're addressing global challenges in energy, advanced manufacturing and materials, ocean, air and space, and health and well-being. And we're making great progress in forming society and policy, encouraging innovation and entrepreneurship, and developing measurement science and enabling technologies. We've created an ecosystem where shared ideas between academia, business and industry, government and the public sector can thrive. And our Technology and Innovation Centre is at the heart of Scotland's first innovation district, bringing companies and organisations together to explore world-changing ideas. It's a way of working that's recognised as best in class by partners both at home and overseas, and was behind our success as Times Higher Education Business School of the Year. We're a socially progressive university, and our work touches lives through sustainable development, social enterprise, and championing equal rights. We believe financial or social circumstance should be no barrier to education. That's why we're Scotland's leading, research-intensive university for breaking down barriers and widening participation. We're proud to serve our students, our city, and our global community. We are the University of Strathclyde, the place of useful learning.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Eze Ejiogu, who's studying her MSc Economics and Finance, and Israel Sanchez, who's studying her MSc Business Analysis and Consulting. So this part of the panel is really looking at life at Strathclyde in Glasgow in Scotland. So maybe if I touch on the fact that our campus is based in Glasgow city centre, so the student accommodation is largely central and within walking distance of the university. Do you think that the location has made it easier for you as international students settling in? And I should say, you're from Nigeria and you're from Spain. So how did that help you settle in, the fact that it's very much a city centre campus? Maybe start with you, Eze.
I think in my case, because it's actually quite nice, when you have everything kind of close to you, So my student accommodation is under York, which is just about maybe 6-7 minutes away from where I have my classes. And the library is quite close around as well.
Yeah.
So basically, even the shops and everything is quite, obviously it's a city centre, so most of what you need is actually right there. You don't need to. In fact, I've hardly used the transport system to go far, except maybe going, to the West End or something. But most of what you need is actually quite available right there, which I thought was quite a good thing for us.
And did you find it quite easy to settle into the accommodation? And in terms of getting accommodation, did you get your choice that you were looking for, or?
Yeah, obviously, I applied online, and for postgraduates, usually we get assigned to Andrew Hall, which is for postgraduates, and obviously when you're selecting flats, they kind of ask you questions about if you're like an early riser, if you sleep late, and questions about if you want to have international people in your flat. I ticked all of those, and I have I'm in a flat with with a guy from Czech, a guy from Spain, and a guy from Hong Kong, which
It's a real mix.
pretty much what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I want to experience different cultures and so on. So from that perspective, everything was successful, and I mean I was very happy with my room. Everything. I've got internet, got my bed, got like a sizable table.
Sure.
Because I do a lot of work, calculations and things. So I mean, I think generally, I was very happy with everything, and it's a very quiet environment, and nice people around.
Yeah.
And the accommodation office is just around the corner, which is quite handy as well, So if there's any problems, any repairs or anything, you just call them up and they'll fix it instantly, Which I thought was another positive point as well.
What about yourself, Israel? How have you found it?
Well, in my case, it was different because I find the accommodation for my own in a private accommodation, sharing a flat with someone else. I run a private room, and honestly, the experience was very nice because I found a room in a Scottish family where the environment was pretty nice, and the flat is 10 minutes from the campus. So around all the city center and the university, you have plenty options where you can find many interaction with people outside of the Strathclyde environment. And for me, was really nice because the price was really accessible for my budget, and also you have plenty option all around, many websites where you can find options with students or private families or any other kind of thing that you are looking for.
And also, you touched on there in cost. I mean, the cost of living is regarded as cheaper than staying, for example, in London. Would you agree with that? And how did you find the cost of living here?
I completely agree about that. Before here, I have been living in London, Birmingham, and Bournemouth, and all of those cities was much more expensive than Glasgow. The accommodation was a little bit expensive than Birmingham, but the expenses like transportation, also foods, are more cheaper than most of the cities in England, from my experience.
Okay. What about you, Ezzy? Did you?
I agree as well, because I lived in London, So obviously everything as a whole, food, transportation, accommodation, everything generally is less expensive. I would say that's what I've observed really. So I agree completely.
And looking a bit more closer to the building we're in, over the last year or two, there's been quite a lot of refurbishment done within the business school. How have you found the facilities and resources within your year here? Have they been, satisfactory? You found them useful and good to work in?
I think, for my case, for my course, Economics and Finance, I mean, everything has been quite spot on, really, for lack of a better term to use. Because, we have access to computers, we have a library, and the business school itself, we have these little cubicles where, you can plug your laptop in and, if you need to prepare for a presentation, you can just quickly go through that. So for facilities and the internet, everything is just everything works quite well, and the Pegasus system as well. It's part of it. I think facilities are quite good, and obviously this is a new building relatively, so it's all quite good.
Okay, and Michelle, yourself?
Well, I'm completely agree with him because for me, my course was more interactive course that the aim is like share with people because all the time you need to make a group assignments and a group investigation, so you have plenty of spaces where to meet all the time, 24 hours. There are a building that is called Livington Tower. It's amazing because you can check in internet in Pegasus. If the room is empty, you can take the room and be there all day. You have internet, the main facilities, a cafe on the ground. So most of the facilities are amazing. The library also is a huge space where you can find whatever you need overall. If you need to make some research or any help from the staff, they can help you to find. If you need books from another university or research from another, they can help you with that. They handle all the things really nice.
Okay. We've also had quite a lot of questions about living in Glasgow, and one of the questions we have, and it repeats, and we've got some live feed questions around this as well, is the Scottish accent. There is in the UK a lot of regional variations to accents. How have you found understanding, when you first come here as an international student and your levels of English are good, how do you find dealing with the accent? Did that take a wee while to get used to?
Sorry, well, actually, before coming here, I come from Birmingham, and I need to say it's much more easier than Birmingham accent. And actually, maybe at the beginning you can say, I hear the expression that Scottish people have a posher accent, but actually this posher accent made me easier to understand because it's like they made the accentuation much better and pronounce all the words rather than cut the words all the time.
Okay.
For me, it was really, really easy to understand Scottish accent.
Good. And what about yourself, Ezzy?
I think, obviously there's different, as you said, there's different sort of variations of the accent. Some accents are quite strong and some people speak quite quickly. Yeah. But I think on the whole, it'll take you about, a month or two to kind of get used to that. And that's for those people who have strong accents. Because generally, like in a business school, most of the lecturers, everyone speaks very well. You don't have any problem with accents. And within the city, obviously it's like a, cosmopolitan city, it's different people in different countries, so most people speak quite well. I've never really had any problem with accents at all, really. But just for speaking for those little, minorities of people who have very, very strong accents, it takes you a while to get used to that.
I can add something to these comments because my placement in January was in Inverness and was in a factory, really in a countryside, very small countryside, and people there sometimes speak very fast. It's like, but they don't have problem to repeat it. Yeah. So feel confident to say again because people are friendly in this kind of situation.
So did you find people on the whole welcoming?
Yeah, very welcoming.
Okay.
Really.
Similar? Did you find it?
Definitely. Right from the point where I landed in the airport in Glasgow, I had this very interesting Scottish taxi driver.
We pretty much had a chat. For taxi drivers.
Yeah. So we pretty much had a chat all the way until I got to New York. So it was right from the point when I landed. It was great.
Okay, that's great. Okay, and also a question, maybe I shouldn't ask this question, but I think I have to because we get a lot of questions about it. The Scottish weather, it's changeable, is a very fair thing to say. How did you find the weather? Because you've been quite lucky over spring, we've had some really fine weather, but obviously, I'll let you decide, what our weather's like. How did you find it? Was it something you'd heard a lot about before you came here?
Yes, something I particularly thought about, because generally people have this sort of perception that Glasgow is really, really, really cold on the whole. And having experienced Glasgow myself, that couldn't be farther away from the truth, really, because I lived in London and, it's pretty similar. Sometimes you have rain, sometimes the sun shines. On average, it's pretty similar to London, and the weather is fine. And right now, the sun is shining outside right now, which against what many people think. Yeah. So for me, I'm quite happy with the weather, and I think it's not as people think at all. Really. Yeah. It's something you need to see for yourself, not just listen to what people say.
And Michelle, coming from Spain.
Yeah, because people was really pessimist in that point. Yeah. I'm coming from Madrid, and I will say that the winter is colder in Madrid than in here. Really? Yeah. For example, this year we have a snow like a week, but in here was only 3 days, no more than that. Yeah. Also, when I was in Inverness, everybody told me, "Oh no, the weather there positive." No, it's completely wrong. The perception, you need to make the perception for yourself, but I will say that from my point of view and from my experience, with a jacket and a good behavior, come on, go out and
enjoy it.
Good to go.
So how do you get the most out of your year that you've had in economics and finance? If you're giving somebody a tip of how to get the most out of it, what would you say, Ezzy? Or whether they're doing the same programme or another one?
I'd say, because we have lots of forums and, where people from industry come to give talks, because I've always believed that, education and university education is a lot more than just, attending classes and the conferment of degrees, Everything else accompanies it is, very, very relevant, more so in our case even. So for people who come to give talks, they give you lots of information about how these jobs, some of the jobs related to my industry are actually carried out. the sorts of things you do, the application processes, how to think, how to approach these things. Those things are, I think, indispensable almost. And for the career services building, that's another big one I want to touch on. Livingston Tower, I think. So that is another very, very useful service, I think, that people should definitely make use of, because you can have brilliant degrees, but you really need to take advantage of that, how to help you, sort of tailor your CV to different jobs, how to prepare for interviews, how to prepare for or write your cover letters, all those things, which people don't quite think about. You just think about the degree, but that is key to success in your career.
So now you're near the end of your degree. What are your career plans then, Leslie?
I'm actually looking to work in a financial institution ultimately, and obviously at the moment actually my course is actually well sought after in Scotland, economics. So at the moment, there are different prospects, different possibilities in my mind at the moment. But working for the Scottish Government fiscal policy and things along those lines, definitely very possible, because if I can touch on, my project is actually on fiscal policy. And I've been told that if I execute that project properly, it could be published in the Fraser and Allen
Fantastic.
So with all of that, I mean, the prospects of working within the Scottish Government are very, very plausible, I think, and feasible.
And what about you, Israel, in terms of your year here in the programme? What kind of tips would you give to get the best out of it?
Well, tips, first of all, go with an open mind, because everything is going to change. Everything how you understand before will be completely changed, and you need to face that, because sometimes it's difficult to understand why people think in a completely different ways. Most of this reason is because people coming from different countries, they have different understanding of the same problem, and share ideas in this environment is amazing, really amazing, because you learn how to interpret everything in different ways and also communicate with them, sell your idea, because it's basically that sell your idea as the best one and why. Support those ideas. And really, that is the first thing that I can say to anyone to want to come in here, to be open at, to make everything different.
And finally, what's your own career plans, or what are you planning on doing next?
Well, now the problem is that before I was working in a company where this kind of thing, the course I take for, was like highly required. But it's more like, now I understand that it's more like a consulting skills that I'm developing here. So I'm looking for consulting now in my country, go back and start writing my career path again.
Brilliant. Well, Israel, Ezzy, thank you so much for coming along today and answering our questions. So that really ends our YouTube Live session this afternoon. There are still some live feed questions coming in, and our team will answer these separately in the course of the rest of the day. But thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you will join us again sometime in the future. Thank you.
Well, Glasgow is a great city. It's big enough that there's everything that you need, that you'd like. There's lots of live music, lots of clubs, lots of bars, lots of good restaurants.
I love the city. I think it's amazing. I think there's always something to do.
It's a great city. It really is. It's got everything for everybody. I mean, if you can't find it here, then it doesn't exist.
Just the other night, I was doing pottery painting with a bottle of wine. I mean,
Glasgow's an amazing city. I think it's great because everything's perfectly where you need it. It's easy to navigate, which is really helpful for me.
But it's not so big that you get stuck in it. If you want to leave the city and head to a beautiful place outside, you can be there in half an hour.
The train systems are really good as well. So even on weekends, if I want to take a train up to the Highlands, half an hour to an hour, and we'll reach like the great outdoors in the mountains and just go for a hike and stuff. It's so easy to get around.
The living costs are a lot lower than other cities in the UK, and I've lived in London and Brighton, and it really makes a difference, to the amount of stuff that you can do with your friends. So obviously that's a bonus.
I've been able to meet different students here on campus and also just tour the city and just see how people actually do make Glasgow a very